Hello everyone, this is our Multimedia Encyclopedia project page, and I'm going to go over the project description so you know what to do for your project and where to access the resources for it. So there are two things to know. The video you're watching will go here eventually, so this page looks a little differently. The second thing to know is that I did include the Google Drive link to the PDF of the handout you've received in class. And it's colorful, it's fun to look at. You're welcome to look at this as well, but I also wrote everything here on the website just for ease of use. So this assignment is really a multimedia article. You're researching something in depth, and then you're using technology to produce something. And really, the criteria here is that you are creating something that can be shared. So we'll get more into that in a moment. It has to be about ancient Rome, and you're going to pick one topic to zoom in depth with. So we have been doing a lot in class with our KWL chart. So we've looked at what we already know. We made a list of things we want to know. And then through the activities in Challenge 1, you've really accumulated a list of things about ancient Rome and those core content questions that you've answered. So you should be getting a fairly good idea of what you want to write about. And we're going to follow the right process. I didn't come up with it. It comes from some academics who are cited here and below. But I really like it because it's a really simple way to think about how we're going to go about creating this in-depth multimedia project. So this acronym is really helpful, and we're going to go through it. The first thing I want you to think about is what to write about. Pick a topic. I'll be linking the KWL charts here once they're done, and so you'll be able to look at the L chart and really think about, what did we learn about? What was interesting? What should I do my project over? And then, of course, you research, and this is a link to our research resources page. And this is where you'll have content sources, but you'll also have access to sources that will help you cite images and pictures and the same thing, and information and anything else you really need. So after you research, and this is a really important step, you'll sign off with me and you'll start your initial draft. And I have about 3 days budgeted for the research. We'll see how long we really need. But the initial draft phase is the most important. That's where you're picking the type of technology you want to use. So you'll look at your tech tools and think about your final product. And you're going to paraphrase and summarize your notes. You might decide to include direct quotes, but this is where you're creating a script for a video, or you're writing your web text, or you're really formatting your facts so they look right in an infographic. It depends. After the initial draft, we're going to engage in two kinds of editing, and this has to look polished. So we're going to edit for content, and we're going to use peer editing for that. We're also going to edit for mechanics, and that could look really different based on the product you choose. So if it's an infographic, we might spend some time fiddling with how we can get the circles bigger to fit the numbers in them. If it is something like a video, we might look at timing and music and dubbing and things like that. So this part could take a little longer, so you want to make sure you're budgeting your time well. The very last step, after you finish your editing and you go back and revise, is to extend to an audience. And we're going to be publishing our articles to our class table of contents, which is over here. And that's where we have our Google Docs with your names, where you hyperlink your assignment. And again, it's protected for privacy, so only people with our school email can access it. So just a note on grading. The standards and the learning targets really serve as a way for you to understand what's expected in this assignment. So I'm not going to read each individual one to you, but I am going to talk about the big four. So they come from the main revised learning results, the Common Core, and the International Students Technology Education Standards. And so I kind of just meshed them all together, but I really heavily took them from ITSE and I cited them below because they did a fabulous job at really explaining how to do 21st century research, and they align perfectly with the MLRs, so I thought, why not? So you want to be a 21st century historian, and you might want to think about, what does this mean? Does this mean that I'm just regurgitating facts, or am I really going deeper? I would encourage you to really go deeper, analyze the facts, think about how it impacted the rest of the world. This is my first typo. I'm famous for this. I'll go back and fix it in a minute. But you also want to be a digital citizen. This means that you're respecting other people's property, especially intellectual property, and you're really making every effort to credit sources where you should credit them and use things respectfully. And this is a really important skill moving forward. The next one is our knowledge constructor. You are going to be actively taking information and researching more information and gathering that information and trying to sift through it and say, okay, this is what's useful, this is not what's useful, here's what I need to know more about. So this part will take multiple steps. I kind of see this as more of a process. And then the next one is a creative communicator. And that's the fun part where you get to pick whatever platform you want as long as it's appropriate. And you're going to create something shareable with all of this research that you've done. And of course, it's going to respect other people's intellectual property and analyze history. So, the creative communicator will either create original work or you might responsibly repurpose other people's work, meaning you might create a documentary of ancient Rome about the Forum, and you're not there, so you can't take your own pictures. So maybe you're crediting other people for their images while you are narrating the history of the Roman Forum. So, just a last word on products. There's more information about that here in Tech Tools, which is also linked here. But I'm really kind of boiling this project down into three options. You can make a web text, that's a Google Doc, a blog, Google site, whatever. You can make an infographic, or you can make some form of a presentation. That part is all up to you. Regardless of whatever you choose, it has to be shareable, so something that can be reused. And then I cited my sources below, and I see I need to add ITSE, which I will. No problem. It's all about revision.